5. And for those of you who've stayed with us, thank you so much. Tonight we're going to talk about animal health and welfare.
And on this farm we're very proactive in vaccinations. This is our farm fridge. It's not that clean on the outside, but on the inside it is all the vaccines that we use here. Pneumonia vaccine. It's the first one there. Leptovoid H vaccine. And lots of vaccines, and of course the obligatory bottle of wine. When you've finished your work you can have a glass of wine. But you know, all joking apart, I would say that no matter what cattle market you would go to, you would look into somebody's Land Rover and you would find a bottle of vaccine and a bottle of penicillin dancing about in the front window. It's absolutely useless when we take it home. All vaccines that we buy come even from the vet, which is 5 or 6 miles away. It's put in one of these bags and they provide those free. It's an insulated bag, it's like a fridge, and they come home and go into the fridge. We're using proper injectors to vaccinate them with, so they're getting exactly the right amount of dosage, and we're weighing cattle as we dose them, so we know exactly what weight they are to be dosed for. You're a better man than me if you can guess the weight of every animal, because we can't go from time to time. So it's very important that we vaccinate our stock and try to reduce the amount of antibiotics we're using. Livestock are attributed to using a lot of antibiotics, and antimicrobial resistance and going down is very, very important, that when people go into hospital the drugs they use do cure them, and for that reason alone we should be actively using vaccines. So we're vaccinating our calves for clostridial diseases early on. We're vaccinating our calves for pneumonia and IBR. And we're vaccinating our cows for leptospirosis and BVD, along with all our cattle being tagged for BVD. It may seem a whole lot of money, but at the time, but it's not really. It could come into 10 or 12 or 15 pounds an animal, which is nothing. A bottle of some of the antibiotics is 75 pounds, and it'll only do a couple of injections. So really, it's been very prudent as well as been very safe, and we don't want anybody to have any ill effects. We want people to enjoy the meat that we produce in these islands, and therefore going forward. We had an outbreak of pneumonia 7 or 8 or 9 years ago. We were in that stage that we were looking for a problem, then injecting it with an antibiotic, until one morning we came out and we had 90 calves that couldn't get up. We lost half a dozen calves. We used thousands of pounds of injections of antibiotics, and still the animals didn't perform. So from then on we've been using pneumonia vaccines, and all vaccines have sold us down that road, and we're much more profitable and much less stress for it. Antibiotic resistance. This is a very, very important topic again, and what that means to those who don't know, I'm sure you all do, is that you're dosing cattle and you're dosing sheep and it's not doing any good. You're just giving them that much of the one drug, the worms become resistant. What we do in this farm, actually when the calves, when they're young, they get a challenge, but the first year out to grass, after that we do them with a long-acting wormer in the year, which does them the whole year, with exception for the ones that went to the herbal lay, the mixed species sward. They weren't dosed at all this year, from February to housing, albeit early housing, and they weren't dosed at all, and were very, very clean at housing. We did have a problem with lungworm after that, but we just treated them for lungworm only, and that disappeared. For our quality assurance in Northern Ireland now, all farmers who are quality assured, beef and sheep farmers, have signed up to an antibiotics course. We all have went to a lecture for a couple of hours and sat with a vet and run through different scenarios of why we should be using certain products and why we shouldn't be using them. It's all related back to human health, what the problems would be if we overuse certain antibiotics, critically important antibiotics in particular. To that effect now, it's very, very difficult in Northern Ireland to get a critically important drug except by vet use only. So it's another thing that we are doing in the beef and lamb sector in Northern Ireland to promote our product and to make people healthy and safe. Safe handling, welfare of the farmer, very important. I mentioned the crush before. We have a lot of cattle through that this week. All the calves have been through. We're able to squeeze it right down to the size we need to go to. It's very, very easy to use. Everything's very, very light. They have a rubber floor in the crush, so there's no stress on the animals. They come up there. You can understand what wee calves will be like. They're just going daft, wanting to get back to their mothers. and everything's very, very handy. All the animals are EIT'd, so we just swipe them, it beeps, the weight's automatically transferred from to the phone to the farm package that we have, and it records the weight. So we know exactly, and it's on the dial as well, we know exactly what every animal is doing. And especially when you're finishing cattle, it's very interesting to know, at what stage it's costing you more to feed them than they're putting on, and at that stage you need to give them a different address. But we've been very, very simple, a long race, 2 sliding gates, good crush at the end, makes things very, very easy. Everything's very light in this crush, so it's very, very user friendly. It's very, very, very important that you have something like that you can work safely.
So that's enough for me for now, and we'll talk about it all on Monday night.